cards are out. The Marvel Legend, Fantastic Four.
Yeah, but the cool cards, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I saw Susan and Ben today, and the Sue is really not that good, which is a bummer because there are very good Sue Storm figures. That's just not one of them. And Ben is cool, but I like that one better. So I'm like, okay, this is cool.
I just like him being on there taking up the whole damn thing. That felt about 20 pounds.
Yeah, dude, seriously. And to be blunt, man, like you're saying, the coolest thing about those is the cards, man. If you are an MOC collector, if you want to go back and rebuy everybody now that they're doing the vintage cards, man, I understand that totally because they all look so cool, man.
Makes sense to do it.
Yeah, totally, brother.
Heck yeah, man. What's going on with the man?
What's up, man? How you doing, brother?
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear, man.
Just doing my late bull mess.
Man, you're rocking, man. I apologize about yesterday, man. And it happened to me again today, man. I got a message like 6 hours after it got sent. And the thing is, I'm like, man, I thought I was on my phone all the time, but apparently I'm not. Apparently I'm doing okay. But unfortunately, it keeps me from talking to the good folks, man. So I apologize, man.
I came home last night, was Sunday evening, and for the first time in a long time, I watched me a WWE pay-per-view. It was the series, so I had to. And I had a belly full of Papa John's. I text the man. Next thing I know, I'm like...
So, I finally got that message. And then I did that thing that I always do where, you'll read things on like Instagram or, whatever social media you follow. And it's all like explaining that people text differently, where some people text this. And then here's another sentence. And then here's this. And I get that. I'm getting my best friend I text to all the time. We are polar opposite texters because that's how she texts. Danielle text. This is okay. Here's sentence one. Now I'm thinking this. Now I'm thinking it totally makes sense because it's like the way we talk. I, on the other hand, text as though I am performing Mozart's Requiem. You've seen them, man. They're just these gigantic, flowery, multi-paragraph things. And I get it because that's how I talk. It sucks because, boy, am I verbose. But seriously, I sent you one of the, tomes last night. And almost as soon as I hit send on that thing, I was like, ugh. So I totally get it. I totally understand it.
It was one of those kind of things. I kind of felt it coming on. And I was like, I'll be fine. No. Psych.
Psych.
Man, one of the things I did that was at least productive for me this past weekend was I got a movie review. I had to go check out the Ghostbusters Afterlife movie.
Sweet.
And good God Almighty, is it a fun time? Bring tissue for all the right reasons that you would imagine. Had tons of fun watching it, and I guess it's the best review I can give these days is like, hey man, I'll go watch it again tomorrow.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
And it was one of those. Any more these days, my game plan of going into any movie I want to see is to go in as blind as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I about the only thing I knew of the movie was the originals that were coming back, certain people that were cast, and speculation. Everybody was kind of like, how do you address Harold Ramis and Egon being gone? And they waste no time. They kick it off with, here's what happened. And, just from seeing a little bit of the trailers I got to see, you pretty much got the gist. Okay, Finn from Stranger Things and this new girl that's you got to put this new chick over, brother. There's Phoebe Spangler is Egon's grandkids. Phoebe is played by a young actress named McKenna Grace, who is hella good. Really, 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 really made it fun. She's, this universe is 11, but for really kind of going into the movie, I expected it to be kind of reversed as far as who's going to have the bigger role, and really, I think Finn was just kind of like, man, I want to be in a Ghostbusters movie, so I'll be there because they could have gotten I'm sure, a long list of people to do what that role required and not have, but at the same time, people know that name and it's going to get people out to watch it. So why not give it to a guy like that wants to be in it, wants to be there?
Totally, especially if you're in a spot like that where this is the story we're telling, this is the actor we want to build, and we want people to see it. So if you put this dude in there, this will help people come and see this, and especially if he's not just willing but excited to do it. That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
From everything I've heard, that was the case. I hope so.
Yeah, I can't imagine being offered Ghostbusters. You'd be like, well, let's haggle about price. Yeah, seriously, I just can't imagine that. The impression, everything I know about the new Ghostbusters is based off seeing the preview 1,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the impression that I got, it's kind of what you're telling me right now. I'm glad to hear. It's like, okay, that's going to be Egon's grandkid. Yeah. That's going to be the star of the movie. And if you are going to build this movie around Egon's grandkid, and it's an actress that's so young, you are going to cast somebody that can knock this sucker out of the yard. So that's totally awesome to hear that was the point, was to like find the impression that I got, and she's a lot younger, obviously, but it made me think of True Grit, where the Coen brothers were talking about, and I mean, look at what Haley's up to now. She's awesome. Yeah. I think she does is incredible.
Man, Hawkeye starts this week. I can't wait for it.
I can't either. I'm so excited, man. But the Coen brothers at the time were talking about that casting was the most fundamental element of that movie, because Jeff Bridges was, of course, an immediate like, yeah, I'll do it. And Matt Damon was like, oh, of course. So then casting this person was super important, and they just killed it. Mm-hmm. So getting the impression that, man, I'm sorry, y'all, that this the main character, we're going to put as much care into finding the right person to play this as we did. That had the right feel to it, and I'm glad to hear it was so good, man. Because I remember like seeing that preview, and I'm like, my brother told me about it. He was like, man, have you seen the Ghostbusters? And this was a long time ago. When that preview came out.
Yeah, it was one of the victims of the COVID. Got delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed.
Yeah, just bumped back forever because they knew they had something good. But my brother was telling me, man, have you seen the Ghostbusters trailer? And I'm like, I haven't yet. And he's like, watch it. Let me know what you think. It was impressive, man. So now I'm glad to know that the movie was just, that's cool. And also, I mean, part of it, I'm very biased because it's Jason Reitman, who I love. I am a huge Jason Reitman fan, in that this is me being a jerk, but I'm going to be a jerk about it. I understand that Jason Reitman got his name from Juno. I am not the biggest fan of that movie. There are things about it that I like. I guess my issue with Juno is that all the people that got credit for making that movie as good as it was weren't the people I thought that deserved credit for making it as good as it was. Now, that's not fair, as far as at the time Ellen and now Elliot Page totally deserved the credit he got, because he was great. But I just thought Jason Reitman, I'm being mean, but it's true. Diablo Cody is the one that everybody kissed the ass of. And I'm like, it's Jason Reitman. This is his movie. Yeah. Jason Reitman, Elliot Page, and to be as blunt as I can be, Jennifer Garner. That's who deserved credit for how good that movie was. And I think that Jennifer Garner got her credit for about 45 minutes, and then people stopped. And I get it. It's the highlight of her career, but what a highlight. She was great. Yeah. She was great in that movie. Elliot Page was great in that movie, and the direction was awesome. And the reason I said the direction was awesome because Thank You for Smoking is awesome. What is wrong with me? Oh, Up in the Air. Up in the Air is absolutely amazing. So everything Jason Reitman's done, I'm like, whoa. So him doing Ghostbusters, I'm super amped.
His last movie he directed was the Hugh Jackman played Gary what's his name? The I didn't see it. There's Front Runner, I think it was called,
Man,
something
I
like that.
don't. I know that I've missed one, and at least one, I should say, and I'm sure that's it. Because I'm with you. I was on like a, oh man, Jason Reitman's got a new one out, and I just would get on them, and I fell after Up in the Air, I fell off, and one of the problems is that once I got to Up in the Air, I got stuck on it. I just watched that over and over and over again. Just said, boy, it's good. You
Yeah,
know,
man,
shoot, we've talked about it. That movie's unbelievable.
it is a dang good one.
Hmm.
Yeah, the I didn't visually recognize McKenna Grace, but through the magic of Google research, I was, and the hair color in this movie is different, but that's one reason that I gave myself. See, that's why I didn't recognize her.
That's why I
As
didn't know.
she was young Carol Danvers and
Okay.
Captain Marvel, and
Okay.
she's been in a whole litany of stuff. So for somebody to be as young as she is, she's got a hell of a IMDb. So she's not only in this movie. You want to cast somebody very good in a major role like that, but there's plenty built into the end credit scene to where like she's gonna be around.
Yeah. Yeah.
At so there's definitely uh, Ghostbusters 2 is one of those that has grown on me a heck of a lot over the years. When I first saw it, I was just like, not not my jam. But over time, I've come to appreciate it more. Uh, I'll always prefer the first one,
Yeah. I think
but
it's most people.
Ghostbusters 2 is not the dog shit that I uh, gave it. You know,
I
uh,
convinced myself that it
yeah.
was.
And when it comes to the one that came out, I think it was like 2016. I've only seen bits and pieces of it, and the bits and pieces I've seen were the televised version. And I think the biggest mistake they made was not even acknowledging that it was even in the same universe that the original Ghostbusters ever happened. It never did, as far as that
My,
movie was concerned. And I think that was a big, big mistake.
my buddy Jeff Green, for as long as that movie has been a thing on this planet,
Hmm.
that has always been his contention is that the problem is that they made a reboot and not a sequel.
Yeah.
He's like, if you make that movie a sequel, you're fine. And he's totally right. When you look at that cast up and down, how could you not
Hmm.
want to see that?
Yeah.
It was great, and he's that's exactly what I've always heard. Is like that's the problem, is rebooting the story instead of just carrying on. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I can dig that. That's cool.
I mean, when you go back to Ghostbusters 1, that was Peter's spin on like, let's franchise this. Let's
Franchise, exactly.
let's build. And I thought it would have been a perfect idea, even if you don't want to have the original cast in there. Acknowledge what happened in 1984 that caused this to be a need.
Dude, totally. I totally agree. And I'm giving my buddy Jeff credit for it, but I want to be, let me backtrack real quick. I want to give full credit to there is a triad of people that actually formed the holy trinity of Ghostbusters should have been a sequel. One is my buddy Jeff Green, one is my buddy Jared Wallace,
Oh
and
well.
the other is the angry video game nerd. Because
Hmm.
that was always his thing. It's like, man, I haven't seen the movie. Don't at me. I can't talk to you about it because I haven't seen it. And why I haven't seen it is because it's a reboot, and I'm like, why did you do that? I totally, I'm with all three of you. And the thing is, I haven't seen it either, and I hate to have not seen it because I really do like pretty much every member of that cast. I either like, really like, or love. So it's a bummer to not watch it. I should probably watch it just for the sake of
The,
for
the,
for
the,
why for a why not, you know?
the movie is fine. That's just the big uh, glaring, and
Yeah,
that they put the everybody in it that are not playing the characters they should be playing. I was like, why? Well, why even do that? But
Multiverse. It's the multiverse of madness. Ghostbusters just
yes,
got there first.
yes, we were there.
For real. It was
So
Agatha all along.
yeah,
That's what happened to the Ghostbusters reboot.
yeah. So it's one of those two. I can't really of what I've seen of it. I can't say, oh man, it was terrible. It wasn't terrible. It just wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters Afterlife was everything that I wanted.
I
Uh,
like it, man.
there, there's some of the complaints I've heard about it. I have some of the same issues, but come, but if you can sit through Ghostbusters Afterlife and get everything that I wanted, how can you complain about? It kind of dragged in the middle, but the last 30 minutes of this movie is worth it. It's worth it. 'Cause, I mean, yeah, and it's not. I give McKenna Grace all the credit, but pretty much all the kids they cast in it were really good. It's just there's they're going out to learn how to be Ghostbusters, and they don't totally go Ray and Force Awakens and just have her pick the stuff up and know how to use all that. She has to go and learn how to do it. And but they do kind of go Ray and Ghostbusters a tad bit because hey, she's Spangler's grandkid. She's smart as fuck. She's gonna be able to work a lot of this stuff. Needs a little bit of guidance from uh, Grandpa, and she gets it. And a really cool big bad way. Uh, I guess the other thing that made me feel kind of bad when I'm watching, I'm like, what what are y'all doing to my dude? Because Spangler uh, might be one of my favorites. It's hard to pick a favorite. I like them all, but if you told me you must pick one, he might have been it. But they do kind of go a little bit Superman Returns on making him out to be kind of like this deadbeat, and I'm like, but all that gets rectified in one scene, and it doesn't totally make it better, but it makes you understand, like, oh, okay, and that's part of what's fun in the last 30 minutes is you get the crew, the original crew, to show back up, and they had their kind of moment, be kind of like, we're sorry, we didn't believe you. Our whole uh, credo was we're ready to believe you, and when it came time for them to believe one of their own, they didn't do it. So without spoiling anything, it's kind of it's a neat way uh, to wrap things up in the end. Without spoiling, when I've already, all the originals are back, and one of the really fun, neat things they do is they go talk about going Marvel Universe. They go full Marvel with the end credit stuff, and sitting there, and you see the first. You've seen the movie. The credits are rolling, and it's going through all the people that are in the movie. And one of the names they put up there was uh, it's Bill Murray, it's Dan Aykroyd, it's Ernie Hudson, Sigourney Weaver, and you're like, Sigourney Weaver wasn't in what I just saw. Boom, in credit scene that she's sitting right there, and like, oh brother, y'all did it.
There's no Dana, there's only Zool.
Yeah, so that that was a nice little thing, and then uh, I did my thing that I have to do now through pretty much every movie because for some man, movie theaters have like some of the best Wi-Fi blocking uh, technology on the face of the earth. Because during the credits of every movie, I'm googling, is there an end credit scene? And it never works. But you sit through the credits, that's where you're going to get your scene where there's like, now these cats are going to be around for a minute. and there's going to be more, and it's done in a really neat way. I'm like, all right, sweet, because of the originals that came back, Annie Potts shows up for a grand total of maybe 10 seconds, what it felt like in the movie. And
Worth
I'm
it.
like, man, I was like, man, is that all she got? Wait till the end credits. Wait till that scene, and you see even more like, oh, I see. She did get a little bit more to do. So, and that was fun. That was a fun scene. But one of the things that is always a reminder when it comes to, I had this experience last Christmas. You know, there's this notion that certain movies are Christmas movies that just plain aren't, as far as I'm concerned. But during Christmas, Gremlins is playing like crazy on AMC, and I have a nephew. Like, hey, let's sit down and watch Gremlins. You're gonna dig this. And you started to it, and you're like, maybe this is a terrible idea. There's some spooky ass shit in that movie. There's some spooky ass shit in Ghostbusters 1. It borders on horror. I remember it as comedy because that's the scenes that I always enjoyed, and that's what comes to mind the most. But there's some stuff that for kids of a certain age probably is creepy out, and that there's a little there's a pretty good jump scare in this one, and but I mean just the Dana getting strapped to the chair scene in the first one alone to be enough to be like, what the heck am I watching? And there's a little bit of that in this one when it comes to, a certain scene. It's like, oh God. And Paul Rudd's pretty much there to be, he's the Rick Moranis character, just there to screw everything up. and that's, does it perfectly,
Nothing wrong with that.
Yep. Just there to F everything up and bring about the end of the world again.
Again. Well, I
But
mean,
man,
pretty much from a certain point of view, he was the single most fundamental character in undoing what Thanos hath wrought. So if in his other film franchise he wants to end the world, you go right ahead. He'll
Yep.
balance you right out, but perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd saves the world, Paul Rudd ends the world.
Yeah. Multiverse of Madness is right there.
It's the way it should be. This is perfect stuff, man.
Heck yeah, man. But man, it's tons of good fun. And watching that one, it's one of those I could see being the next line of some really cool stuff coming.
I would absolutely love it if they were able. Sorry, to kick this Ghostbusters into another series, because we've talked about it before. Of all the rebooted toy lines from stuff when we were kids, does anything have more individual figures than Ghostbusters? I mean, Jesus Christ, it is all the time, forever. People love Ghostbusters, so yeah, man, if you can keep running and doing new stuff that people like, man, that would be awesome. That'd be totally awesome. So I like that. I'm glad to hear that it was good because, again, the preview looked great and all of the initial stuff I've heard is good, but I haven't heard anything from someone that's actually seen it that I know. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, man. It is worth the price of admission.
Or the
I would
drive,
say.
brother. I'm
I'd
falling
say.
behind. I still haven't seen Dune, man. I'm falling behind. I need to watch Dune. Need to watch Ghostbusters. Got to get caught up.
Yeah, man. Dune's just one of those that I haven't got around to myself. Just even going back to the original, I was just like, man, I know one time in my life I've made it through start to finish, but it's just one of those that the people I know that love it,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm just not one of the love it people that from what I've heard of this version that's out, it's kind of they made it with that intention of we're going to do more, and but
Yeah.
that's the reactions I've been getting from people that have gone to see this one and they get to the end, they're like, wait, what? It's just getting good.
Nah, the only complaint that I've heard about the new one is Zendaya's got 7 minutes of screen time, man. What the fuck? That's the only complaint I've heard. And it's like, it's because this is the first one. It's
Hmm.
not the only one. I know we've talked about it, man. One of the greatest things in American cinematic history is Dino De Laurentiis sitting down with David Lynch and Lynch telling him, man, we got to do three. You can't do this in one movie. There's too much story here. You got to let me do three. And Dino said, man, we're ripping off Star Wars as it is, man. We're not doing three. We're doing one. That's that. So they made the movie and it came out and they went to the premiere and it was all good. And apparently the story is that Dino De Laurentiis went to David Lynch after screening the movie once on the premiere. And he looked him right in the face and he said, David, you were right. I apologize. And then he basically, as a makeup gift, gave him a blank check and said, I'm going to fund your next project, whatever you want to do. I want you to take the thing that means the most to you because I did you wrong here. You were right. I was wrong. Let me make it up to you. Gave him the blank check and it turned into Blue Velvet.
Yeah, man.
World's never been the same. So
Yeah.
good on Dino for doing that. And also, if you're going to go back and touch Dune again, man, good on you for approaching it as a series instead of a single movie. But yeah, that's all I heard is Zendaya fans whining that she's not in it enough. And it's like, that character will eventually be in it a lot. You just gotta just hang in there, man. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be worth your time.
Just wait, brothers.
Yeah, dude, it's coming, brothers.
Mhm.
But I'm looking forward to it. I just haven't watched it yet because I'm a dummy. I think I don't know, man. I'll figure it out.
Originally, the plan was for it to be. It was one of those that was going to be on HBO Max as it was running. I don't know if that's still happening or not. I haven't
I
looked
think
into it to see.
as far as I know, it is.
Mhm.
Excuse me, but I'm with you. I haven't officially looked, so
Mhm.
I don't know officially either. And my brother saw it, but he went to the theater and watched it. So that doesn't that doesn't answer our question.
Well, I think a lot of those plans did get kind of changed. So, but I don't know. I don't know for certain. Maybe it will be by Thanksgiving or something, which will be soon.
Yeah, man, any of the whole yes, sign up for this streaming service and you can watch this movie instead of going to the theater. I'm cool with that because honestly,
Yeah.
I love going to the movies, but if I don't ever go to the theater again, I'm okay. And one of the
Mhm.
reasons is because, pardon me, the theater's very fun. Being in a theater that's that dark and with the sound system, that's the huge difference for me going to the movie theater is the sound is so immersive when you're in there. That's awesome. But if I do it at home, I don't have to do it with anybody else, and it's in HD.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things to balance out there, man. And the whole deal.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing you have to do, in my opinion, to replicate the theater experience, excuse me, perfectly, is just turn your phone off. As long as you power your phone down, then it can be the exact same thing. And I'm like, yes, this is good.
And the people that I know that love Dune are the people that love the book
Yeah,
as
exactly.
well.
Yes, sir.
And the book, man, those are some hardcores that I'm just like they get to talking stuff. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
Do what?
It's
And
fascinating. Dune is one of those Lord of the Rings series where,
yeah,
brother, if that's your thing, it is your thing, and that's cool, man. And I've only
mhm,
with Dune, I've only ever read the first one, and I loved it, but I haven't read any of the ones beyond that.
mhm.
But I'm glad they're redoing that because, dude, the David Lynch Dune was fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just there's a whole lot.
So
It's
it's like
exactly
crammed into a 5 pound bag.
Absolutely. It's exactly what Dave said. It's just way too much story for one movie. So, and that's great. And again, full credit to Dino, full credit to Dino, excuse me, for being so cool about it.
Hmm.
I love that. And again, Blue Velvet is Blue Velvet for Christ's sake. I'm still not certain that Lynch will ever make a better movie than that. Now I know, God, the Mulholland Drive kids will beat you to death. Mulholland Drive is the best movie of all time. I think Mulholland Drive is fine. I
It's
like
fine.
it. I think it's very, very good. I just think Blue Velvet's better.
Yeah.
I just do.
Talk about a guy that's got plenty to choose from for be your favorite. That
Mm,
you can uh, make a case for any of them,
yeah,
and
I agree.
don't
I
don't be don't be a d bag about it.
Man, favorite Lynch movie, man. That'd be an interesting conversation.
if,
I
if, no,
really do.
if nothing else, I think Blue Velvet is the most beginning, middle, end
Yeah, there's a
to have.
quality to Blue Velvet that's amazing. Man, that's really hard. The one I'm stuck on is Wild at Heart. It's
Yeah,
really hard to not pick Wild at Heart as your favorite, man, because
yeah.
again, if you appreciate Nicolas Cage from a pre Nicolas Cage as a punchline, uh, you know, he made some really good movies. And
Hmm.
since then, he's made some really good paychecks. There's nothing wrong with either of those things.
Hmm.
But no matter what he does in the name of a paycheck, the thing is, Raising Arizona and Blue Velvet and Moonstruck are always going to be incredibly good movies. And then on the other end, whenever you've got like Con Air and all the junk he did, Wicker Man, and all the stuff he did in the middle to get paid, all that's fine. And then he did Pig. That was exceptional. I loved that. I watched that recently, man, and it just blew my doors off. I thought it was great. So, man, Nick's the man, dude. He's Sutter Ripley.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
It's good stuff.
Dude. I, Wild at Heart might be my favorite. Now that I'm thinking about it, as far as like favorite Lynch movies, that might be it. I really did like Inland Empire too. That Inland Empire is totally David Lynch off the leash, but it was real good, man. It was
Hmm.
real good. It was cool too because David Lynch and Laura Dern just belong working together. Laura Dern is one of the most interesting actresses in the world, man, because you can hand her a script and it's the most straight laced. Okay, here is your funny line, and here is your sweet line, and here is your line that gets you over as the heroine. Go, and she can do it. You can hand her a script that's all like, okay, you're the complete villain, you're a piece of crap. Okay, now you're awesome. Okay, now you're terrible again. Now you're killing people. Now you're done. Scene. She can do that. It's weird. Laura Dern is weirdly overlooked in that conversation of like best actors that you just, and I'm guilty of it, that I never bring up as far as like how much I love their stuff. But man, I'm telling you, she did that. Oh man, she had a series on HBO that she did, and I want to say Euphoria because we were just talking about Zendaya, and
Yeah.
that's underrated. Euphoria is really good. Euphoria was the first season was good. The second season, like the COVID stuff they did, was unreal because like the things that they came up with, but the limitations of what you could do as far as like social distancing and how many people could be on set, the stories they came up with and the ways they decided to keep people away from each other were unreal. It was really impressive. However, Laura Dern's got nothing to do with Euphoria that I know of, but it was Enlightened. Enlightened was the name of the series that she did on HBO, and man, it is so good. It's one of those that HBO's got like golly, probably 3 dozen, no kidding, the things that they produce and put out that never get talked about that are incredible if you just stumble on them, but you got
Hmm.
to stumble on them.
Hmm.
Enlightened, really really good stuff. I thought that was amazing.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Man. So I did sit down and watch a WWE pay per view last night
I
because it
I
was
am sorry about that, man.
the uh it's the same, I guess, thing that our complaint that everybody has is like, yeah, the storylines are crap, but the matches are still pretty dang good. And
I heard the
uh,
same thing.
can't really say it was a bad show. It was good top to bottom. It's just anytime Vince shows up, you're just kind of like, oh my, what in the heck is going on? This guy is just not good
Can
anymore.
we can we please get back to the people that get paid to operate bell to bell?
Hmm.
Like we said, I know that wrestling is the part of the show that Vince dislikes the most. And therefore, it's the part that Bruce and what's this Johnny and all the rest of them are
Yeah.
supposed to dislike the most. But those of us that tune in, that's all we care about.
Mm-hmm.
And with WWE, basically what's happened is Vince has hired enough people that really like pro wrestling
Mm-hmm.
and know how to do it, that when you get out of their way, they do a good job.
Yeah.
That's it. That's totally the thing. So, well, the WWE pay-per-views are actually pretty good. Yeah, it's because that piece of shit is not in the ring telling them what to fucking do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're good. When Seth Rollins wrestles, it's his call. When Roman
Mm-hmm.
Reigns wrestles, it's his call. When Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair are in there, and what a good job they did of convincing everyone they don't like each other. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if it's the people are desperate to believe this stuff is real or if they're just that good, but people bought that. They're
Yeah.
really bad. Becky doesn't like Charlotte, and I don't like Charlotte because so I like Becky again, and it's like that's exactly what they were trying to get you to do, and they did it. So
Yeah.
good for them. And once again, more of that stuff where if you just get out of their way,
Mm-hmm.
get out of the talent's way, and God knows with WWE, when you say get out of the talent's way, that's not there is no limitation on what talent means. They have got the best stockpile of performers I've ever seen. It's
Mm-hmm.
incredible, and that's even with AEW taking all the people they have.
Yeah.
It's a great, and now for all the whining that Cornette does about the 50s and the 80s and all that stuff, it's like we talked about, man. You have got women who just got fired by WWE that have multiple places they can go and get six figures. Hey, if you want to complain about how bad pro wrestling is right now, have fun. But it sounds great to me. I'm very happy that so many creative folks are getting to call their own shots now, and that includes WWE. I don't watch WWE, but I know there's a heck of a lot of people that are really, really good at what they do. So I
Yeah.
like hearing that when it comes to pay-per-views. Oh yeah, but when they ring the bell, I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. They're
Mm-hmm.
still getting it done. Kevin Owens being jumping out of the ring, getting countered out is kind of silly, but that's one thing on the
Mm-hmm.
show. I got everybody I listen to, all the reviews I listen to is like, it's the worst pay per view ever. It's the worst Survivor Series ever. Oh my God! And I'm like, well, I've been hearing this for a decade.
Yeah.
Clearly, it doesn't matter because you idiots are still watching it. So, hey, man,
Mm-hmm.
well, I watch WWE because that's how I get paid on YouTube. Okay, then you should thank your lucky stars that company is successful enough to make you a living.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. If you just look at that roster, there are people in WWE I think are trash. There's a whole lot more of them that are really, really exceptional. And man, hey, there's certainly enough of them to put on a good show. And like you said, or not like you said, but like we're talking about, your main event was Big E and Roman Reigns, two guys who used to play football, two guys who have never wrestled anywhere but WWE, and they headlined that show, and apparently did a real good job. That's
Heck
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
with going into the show, you had another round of releases that
of course.
really makes you think that is this part of this stupid plan of like, well, if we let our entire roster go, then Tony Khan will buy them all, and then he'll go out of business. Will that work? I don't know. I'm crazy old man.
People, I've seen that joke proffered before, and there are some people that actually believe that's what's going on.
Hmm.
You and I've talked about it before. I'll stand
Hmm.
by it.
Hmm.
If Vince McMahon has enough money to pay these people to be his employees, I promise you Tony Khan does. Because
Yeah.
people get huffy about that, but it's true. The Khan family is worth about three and a half times what the McMahon family is worth. All you got to
Yeah.
know is this: the Jacksonville Jaguars still exist, right?
Yeah.
There's no
Somehow.
contest. It's as simple as that. If you have an
Hmm.
NFL franchise, which is something that Vince McMahon doesn't have and will never have because he's buddies with that guy named Donald Trump, who a long time ago wanted to buy the Bills, and the NFL owners told him there's the door. So he decided to start the USFL, and then Vince copied him by starting the XFL. It's like, look, man, the USFL was never competition for the NFL. The XFL was never competition for the NFL. Tell that to the NFL owners.
Hmm.
It's a very there is no more exclusive, hoity, nose in the air, wine and cheese group in this country that I know of than NFL owners. I don't give a fuck how much money you have. They are not letting you in because they don't want to and they don't have to. Simple as that. As long as the Cons own an NFL team, I'm telling you, it's not the same thing. But I still am convinced that all this stuff is just them trying to cut overhead because they want to sell, which will be hilarious because you know as well as I do, as soon as WWE gets bought by anybody not named McMahon, give them 5 years, they'll be out of existence. No one will care. They will be cut rate, put on the bottom rung, and then Tony Khan will buy World Wrestling Entertainment. That's what's going to happen. And I don't think Vince cares. I know he doesn't care because that's what they're doing is like cut, and then make as much money as you can with the sale. They want out. I think Vince has wanted out for a long, long time. Shane and Stephanie don't. Shane's already showed you he doesn't care. He left before. Yeah. Nah, it's not like that. I don't understand. I don't quite understand. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, to be honest with you, man. But there is no competition between WWE and AEW. But it ain't the reason people think it is. It's because Vince will never, ever, ever be in the financial strata as Tony Khan. It's not. $2 billion is a lot of money, but it ain't 6.5. Sorry. It's ridiculous that people are getting like pissing contest over that stuff, man. But whatever. The thing is, all I heard was just, oh, this sucks. This is awful. Oh, man, it's terrible. The build was so bad. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. But the matches are good. And I'm like, well, good for y'all. Because I'm with you. It's like, who cares about anything? I don't care about a build. Oh, man, they give us Charlotte and Becky Lynch, and there's no build, and there's no story. Man, that's on you. If you need them to give you that soap opera shit to make you care, find something else to watch. Go watch TV. They're real good at that. If you want to see Becky Lynch, the wrestler, wrestle Charlotte Flair, the wrestler, cool. Watch that. But if that's not enough for you, dude, get the hell out of here. I get tired of that complaint all the time, man. Well, WWE's production team is so good, but the builds were so bad. Fuck out of here, man. I hate that stuff. I hate it. And one of the reasons I hate it is this. Remember when Finn Balor and AJ Styles wrestled each other?
Yeah.
What was the build to that? There was no build to that. They literally needed a fill-in opponent for AJ. So they ran Finn out there. And it happened, and it was awesome, and we all enjoyed it, and everybody in the crowd enjoyed it. So why are we complaining about there being no build? Well, if they'd built it up as like the leaders of the Bullet Club wrestling each other, well, that would require them to acknowledge the Bullet Club, which is not something they do as a regular. That's just their policy. They don't do that. But in the meantime, with them not having done that, what effect did it have on the match? None. People loved that match. So please stop with all the builds and the who cares, man? The best advice I can give you is don't watch their TV. Tune in to the pay-per-views, man. You'll be enjoyed. Like you said, man, when the people get out of the way and the performers get to tell the story, man, the cats in WWE are still real, real good. They're real good.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
That's that good stuff.
It is that good stuff, man.
And that's I guess that's when it comes to the last round, it's like, just in time for the holidays.
That was Ty Valkyrie's thing. That's Ty Valkyrie's thing. Like, don't support this company that doesn't support its fucking people. People got all whiny and pissed. She just mad. She got fired. And she's like, yeah, fuck you. Yes, I'm mad. I got fired. And my husband got fired. So, yes, I care. And it's like, hey, y'all asked. You idiots asked her. And it's like, all right, well, you get what you get, don't you?
At least there was a time when releases came and it made sense. Now there's just no rhyme or reason. It's just pulling names out of a hat that we can give the middle finger to Triple H over.
Oh, totally.
What it feels like.
I think you're right. I totally think you're right. And honestly, if you told me, like we talked about last time, if you tell me it's an elaborate storyline to get Triple H to AEW and not like, well, I'm leaving and going to AEW, but if you tell me that him and Cody had orchestrated this 5 years ago, I'd believe you. I would totally believe you because I really do. Like, you've got Big E. Big E now is putting out tweets about, look, I know it's hypothetical, but man, what if that open door extended to us over here? It's you and I've talked about it forever, man. This idea of wrestling being just this open world. I think it's where we're headed. I honestly think that's ultimately where you're going. And the reason I say that, if Vince isn't interested, and I'm sure he's not, Tony Khan will outlast him. Tony Khan's got more money than he's. Oh, but it's his dad's money. Well, Vince has his dad's company. So are you sure you want to play that? Is that the attitude that you want to have? Because you're gonna lose that argument. And the reason you're gonna lose that argument is, like I said a minute ago, 6 is more than 2. No matter what country you go to, no matter how you try to change the math, 6 is always going to be a bigger number than 2. As a matter of fact, no matter where you go anywhere in this galaxy, 6 is 3 times as many as 2. It's one of the cool things about math is it's not even, it's universal. It's galactical, if you will.
That was an interesting concept that got brought up to something I was listening to the other day is math and science and physics just the other element that would have existed whether man ever did or not.
Sure.
I don't believe it was invented by us. We just found it.
Oh, I totally agree with that. That's the thing I think is so neat about mathematics is that those things happen. The fact of the matter is that human beings didn't create mathematics. Like, it's exactly what you said. They discovered it. And it's the coolest thing about us learning how to talk is that, and I suck at math. I'm just fascinated by it because it's always true. If you have 2 of these things and 2 of these things and put them together, no matter where you go in the collected history of humanity, you got 4 things. I think stuff like that is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I understand that people do not like to mix science and spirituality. You don't have to. But if there is a coded, hidden language of what we call the prime mover, architect, God, it's math. That's it. That's it. You can't go, if God as you believe it to exist, you can't go speak English to it. It doesn't work that way. I think that's what I think is so cool about that is like, how in the world do people figure this out? That's fascinating, man.
Yeah.
As many things as we as a species have done that are so stupid, discovering that math is a thing is pretty awesome. Our people, our past people did good on that one.
Yep. Did something right, brother.
Yeah, for real, man. Got that one.
Good on you.
Yeah, good on you.
Here's to you.
Here's to you is always going to be funny. Here's to you. C'est for me. Those are always going to be hilarious. C'est for me. Say for me tonight. Or Jared turned me on to it's Alfonso, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that's the character's name. If you haven't seen Alfonso on Saturday Night Live, the man turned me on to it. Do yourself a favor. It's worth watching. It's a neat thing, and I don't want to ruin it, so I won't do it because if I could do the voice, I would do it, but I can't. But the guy in the skit, it's his skit, so of course he can do this great.
It's definitely one of those sketches that it gets come on later in the show, and those just kind of like, man, first watch, it's kind of like, am I supposed to be into this? Well, what's going on? And then a rewatch, it does a lot of good. Where it's like, oh, I get it now.
I was telling the man earlier, I read 2 different YouTube comments this week that really did it for me, really blew me away. And one of them was about that sketch. And it was just, I love the way it was worded. It said that this reminds me of David Pumpkins in the sense that the first time I watched it, I'm like, I don't know about this. But then I kept thinking about it. And then I came back and watched it again. Then I watched it again, and it just started to grow on me. And now I can't stop watching it. And it's a perfect description of that sketch. I agree. I'll tell you the other YouTube comment I read this week that blew me away, and I loved it. There was a song. I would say we were probably 8 or 9 years old when this song came out. I don't remember, but it seems like it was 88, 89. Way back in the day, there was I believe, trumpet player named Don Cherry. Don Cherry was an interesting guy, played really interesting music. And Don, I know he had at least two kids. One named Eagle Eye, who wrote that song that everybody knows from
Yeah.
the mid 90s. But he had a daughter named Nana. And Nana Cherry released a song, I believe, in 88 or 89 called Buffalo Stance. That when you hear it, whether you know the name or not, if you're someone our age, you will recognize that song. And it's awesome. I've always loved that song. I still love that song. It's incredible. But I don't want to even try and describe what it sounds like because the description on the YouTube or the comment on the YouTube video was the perfect description. And it literally said, "This is the sound of the 80s becoming the 90s." And it's perfect. That is such a good description. That blew me away when I read that. I'm like, dude, well done. I don't remember who said it. I don't know, but it's on the Nana Cherry, Neneh Cherry, Buffalo Stance. Go watch that video on YouTube. That comment is perfect. And it's weird. Like I said, I've known that song my whole life, but I never would have been able to verbalize that perfectly. As soon as I read that, I'm like, I love this. This is perfect because it's great stuff, man. So YouTube comments have been fun this week.
Cool, man.
Those two in particular.
Yeah. That's all I know that's going on in the world right now.
All I have to add is I'm very bummed that my guys are out. I shouldn't say very bummed because the thing is, New York played better than we did. They really did. You know, sometimes you play and you really are better and you lose. That's a downer. New York played better than we did. I'm just bummed they're out because I love them, and so it's all good. MLS playoffs are going on. It's quite fun, quite exciting. And to be totally fair, all of the West Coast stuff went my way. So I don't get to I really shouldn't complain. But Atlanta lost, dude. I'm doing fine. I'm doing good, so I shouldn't complain about it. And then I commented on my hat. Now we'll comment on yours.
Heck yeah, man.
Well, them Hawks are they playing at the moment. It's very fun. And again, I said this boy, this is going to sound familiar. Excuse me, because you heard it a lot during the playoffs last year. But what we're doing right now is without DeAndre Hunter. And it's not that DeAndre's the best player we got. He's not. But the Hawks are an exponentially better team, especially defensively, when we do have DeAndre. So to play so well without him, man, that's a good feeling, man. It's a good feeling. But something interesting about DeAndre being out, the shuffle in the starting lineup, because technically the Hawks are not a positionless team, but basketball, a lot of basketball teams are kind of transitioning to the original positionless state of the game. Players like LeBron do that because LeBron, by definition, is a three. You know that guy runs the point. Watch how often the ball's in his hand. So, okay, Atlanta definitely has a point guard. But technically, if you're lining them up, Capella's the 5, Collins is the 4. You have Bogey at 2 and Trey at 1. Kevin Huerter has been starting at the 3 for us. He's doing great. He's doing great. He's doing great. You know he can run the 1. You know he can play the 2. But as a 3, it's like his rebounds per game, I think he's got about 4 a game, which for a 2 guard is a ton. But he's going out there and starting at the 3 and just taking on the defensive responsibilities at the 3. And it's like, man, go on. He is so underrated. God, he's good. So it's really fun watching the Hawks play so well right now. It's like we talked about. They stumbled out of the blocks because our schedule was brutal and we were playing a bunch of real good teams. Like I said earlier, man, I don't think we lost to anybody we should have beaten. That's all you got to do. Beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Split the games with the teams that you're not sure about. You'll be in the playoffs, man. That's all you want. Just get to the playoff. So they're doing good. They've won 5 in a row now, and they're playing real well. They played awesome tonight. So it's like, man, this is just a good time to be. That's like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, man. Atlanta sports top to bottom. Oh, on that same subject, and I know nobody, of course, you knew how this week was going to go. But I'm talking about teams that beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Split with the teams that is 50-50. Georgia played Charleston Southern.
Yeah.
They beat them exactly how they should have beaten them. That's exactly what you want. So one step closer, man. And of course, I'm nervous because our date's coming up, and I'm like, oh god,
Oh Christ,
oh
oh
Christ.
Christ.
As long as I will take that whipping that we're probably gonna get and might be due. As long as you go to Atlanta and beat Alabama, it'll be fine. Now, if you kill us and then lose to Alabama, I'm gonna be all bitter about it.
That's just one of those that I don't like going into games like that confident as I am, but because I've done that before and it bit me straight on the ass.
Me too. Me too. It's interesting. We were talking about Roman versus Big E earlier, and I can't see Roman and Big E and not be like, it's the 2009 Orange Bowl all over again. 2009 Orange Bowl. In 2008, Georgia Tech was a great team in 08. Really, really, really good team. Won the ACC, went to the Orange Bowl for the first time in my life, and we go down there and we're playing against Kirk Ferentz's Iowa. And the thing about Kirk Ferentz's Iowa is when you play them, it's like playing Virginia Tech a second time, because the whole thing with Tech in 2008 was we had the triple option. It was crazy. It was funky. And you could run it really well against teams that were like, I'm just going to go make the play. Please, by all means, over pursue. Go after the guy that had the ball because he ain't got it now. When you play against Virginia Tech, they're very disciplined. Iowa, very disciplined. So, man, we couldn't run our offense worth a damn. So, that's the whole thing is Big E used to play football at Iowa. Roman used to play football at Tech. And I'm like, oh, God, it's the Orange Bowl all over again. I just got nervous.
Yeah. I've got a friend that she's big Alabama person, and I'm trying to, because she's been doom and gloom every weekend this season, and I was sending her text like, man, y'all can handle Arkansas. Then I looked at the score like that might have been all y'all could handle.
Dude, that was the article I read about Paul Feinbaum. Not Paul Feinbaum. Gary Danielson, the color commentator for CBS, is apparently he had several comments about calls that weren't made. And I'm here to tell you, the tweets I read are exactly honest. Like, if the officiating is so bad in favor of Alabama that Gary Danielson will point it out, something's going on, because Gary Danielson has got a tattoo of Nick Saban on his left index finger, and he keeps it up his butt. He keeps it up his own butt, because all he will ever... Feinbaum is the ultimate Alabama homer. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. It's like, Paul, you work for ESPN. You can talk about everybody in the conference. It does not have to be Nick Saban and Alabama all the time. Gary Danielson, on the other hand, works for CBS. Same thing, but that is all he ever does is just kiss Nick Saban's ass up, down, around, sideways, and 4 times Sunday through Wednesday. It's ridiculous. So it's like, that's a great point. It's like, man, if Gary's got a problem with this, boy, you got a problem with this. So, oh, Lord.
Yeah. Man, that's what's going to be going down real soon.
Ridiculous. Officiating bad enough that Gary Danielson notices, and it was still that close of a game. But Arkansas, like we were saying, like you were saying about Kentucky a couple of weeks ago, which you totally pegged. With Kentucky, it's not if, it's who.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, buddy, that's Arkansas too, man. That's the one thing that I'm thrilled about. I might have mentioned this before. I'm sorry if I have. But the one thing that there's 2 things I'm really happy about Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC. One, and I'm a Big Ten guy. I love the Big Ten. I really enjoy watching Big Ten football. But the Big Ten were so damn arrogant about Oklahoma. Their academic status really isn't up to scratch for the Big Ten. We're really not thinking they should join because their academics are so bad. And it's like, Texas told you, if you want us, Oklahoma's coming with us. If you want to change that deal, okay. But Texas is going to go over here and negotiate with the SEC, which is exactly what they did. And they took Oklahoma with them, just like they said they were going to. So I love the Big Ten, but if you're arrogant enough to turn your nose up at Oklahoma, then tell with you.
Yeah.
Texas told you that was part of the deal. You said no, so they made a deal somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first part I love. The second part I love is the idea of Texas and Arkansas being a Southeastern Conference game. That is awesome because historically, if you love college football as I once did, and you studied the history of college football as I once did, Texas has ducked Arkansas forever. They never want to play them. They don't ever want to get together. It's hilarious. So when you have Texas with Louisiana State and Arkansas, not only in the conference, but in the division, it's hilarious. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be awesome. I can't wait.
That's going into rivalry week. Everybody is just had Georgia and Alabama as this foregone conclusion in the title game. Like y'all still got to go play Alabama. Y'all still got to go play Auburn.
They do.
So that I don't care. The records don't matter because anything could happen.
What the record is in the Iron Bowl. It does not matter.
So yeah, y'all. And that's part of what I'm hoping for. It's like y'all overlook that game.
Totally, absolutely, man.
Then get your ass whipped.
They do me a favor, get your ass whipped.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye. That's an old soundbite from the heyday of the Regular Guy Show. Thank you. Bye.
The Cornet. Thank you, bye.
Heck yeah, man.
I think that's everything. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the call. Again, thank you for waiting 24 freaking hours to do it.
Man, that's all good, man. That's what's up.
Hell yeah. Y'all, thank you for watching. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I'll see y'all.
Yeah.